out to Socrates. Socrates still trying to get the opening. Oh, Socrates! Whoa!
And there it is. The crazy gang have beaten the Culture Club.
Maggie Thatcher, can you hear me? Maggie Thatcher, your boys took a hell of a beating. Your boys took a hell of a beating.
Welcome to Your Boys Took a Hell of a Beating. The fashion department is up and running again. I think with Dave Bowler in the last module on this particular thread, I think we called it, I think we took our title name tongue-in-cheek from David Bowie and fashion. We are the Goon Squad and we're going to town. Beep, beep. Was the best we came up with, or I came up with. Part 3 of this, the wonderful Michael Hamlen is joining us. Michael, welcome back to the podcast.
Well, thank you, Stephen. Thanks for giving me the opportunity to go through these shirts. There's some good ones here. So maybe not so well known, but some others that obviously would be instantly recognisable. Yeah, really looking forward to them. Yeah,
some picks that I wouldn't say obvious at all. I think valid would be the word. I think the vast majority of people you would say certain kits and virtually everyone's kind of, yeah, I know exactly where you come from. Whereas some of them, there's one or two here that are magnificently outlandish in a kind of left field kind of way, which offers another brilliant caveat to this. Michael's been on the podcast several times. He's one of the regulars. You'll have heard him, many times, and will do again. Tell the listeners, Michael, where they can find you on the. I still call it Twitter, but I'll still call it a Snickers bar marathon.
I still call it Twitter as well, but yeah, it is X. We have to call it what it should be known as, but it's still Twitter. Yeah, it's at 80s, 90s football. We post things every day, just retro goals, moments. Yeah, just anything that just ticks that box of retro 80s, 90s. Some things work, some things don't. Some things gets lots of traction, some things are very niche, and that's what I love. So it's a hobby, it's a bit of fun, and that is all it is. But it's good fun, and and it's great to take part in things like this and talk football.
Do go and find Michael's X/Twitter account. It's brilliant. It's just one of the best things that tips up on your feed on a daily basis. It really is. Michael, you've selected 7 kits. We never know. We might trip across others along the way. But give us your first. Give us the first one on your list.
Well, the first one is the Soviet Union from Mexico '86. I prefer the white one to the red one, personally. So this is the white one we're talking about. If you ask me why I love it, it's the look of it, but it's also got some classic details in it that I think all kits in theory should have. And some of these kits that we're going to talk about won't actually have some of these details, but I think it's, first of all, it's an Adidas kit. That's a big tick in the box. It's got the classic trefoil logo, another tick in the box. And it's got 3 stripes down the shoulder sleeve. Again, once you've got those 3 things in place, you're pretty much winning. But of course, it's got a massive badge on it because it's Soviet Union, and of course, badges from the East at this time. From Eastern Europe, they had these massive badges. You've got the legendary CCCP in red, or in the other shirt's got the white. So again, you know exactly who this team is. You don't really need. There's no mystery. It's there right in front of you, and all the things that you just, I suppose, the connotations of the Soviet Union that you may have are summed up instantly just by looking at that shirt. And again, this is something that we'll come back to throughout the next 6 shirts we'll talk about. You need the players, well, not always, but in my mind, you need the players that obviously elevate this shirt to another level. You need the moments that elevate it. You need the stadiums and the surroundings. And of course, Mexico '86 and this team, it has all of those things. Got the Belanos, the Zavaros, the Inenikov, Rats, Kinetsov, Lukin, Prosazov, who doesn't play very much, but a very, very underrated striker, in my opinion. And, you've got the blitzing sort of demolition of Hungary, 6-1, they're 2-0 up in about 4 minutes or something. And, you got the France game and the amazing Ratsby bats, which ironically is in the red kit, actually. But, the Canada's, the rest of the other players, a bit of a non-event until Belanov comes on. And then, of course, you've got the epic Belgium game, which I know you've talked about with Connor recently. And it's a team that should have gone further. The shirt deserved to go further, in my opinion. And it's just literally everything there is encased in a perfect little story with a brilliant, brilliant shirt.
Yeah, this is out of all of the ones you picked in, there's some great ones, and there's not one I disagree with at all. this one for me is an absolute cornerstone of World Cup iconography in kits. It is. It's just was it with, I think it was Adam Summerton we were discussing, and if you do what is basically a simple kit, you've got to do it perfectly. And this, it really is like you say, the Adidas stripes. It's got the trefoil, the CCP on it, the hammer and the sickle, and it really is. And being someone that is from a football in terms a red kind of background, I totally agree that it's the all white that makes this so it's so much better than the red kit. Although the red kit's a beautiful thing anyway. I think maybe the red kit, because it's offset by the white shorts, I think if it's all red, it might have a similar effect to the white one, maybe. But the fact that this is this all white one, it's just a majestic thing. And like I say, I agree on the basis that the backdrop that these kits are played out in, the players that play in them, the moments that they evoke is definitely where it's at. And my love of this Soviet Union side is through the roof. It always has been, always will be. So yeah, totally agree with this. And yeah, I was a Vasily Rats man. Absolutely loved him. I loved all those players, but yeah, Vasily Rats kind of like just winging in from the left, and yeah, Aaron in one in bottom corner, Euro '88, granted, but I love that team. Yeah, such a shame that didn't go further. Michael, give us the next one on your list.
Well, I could have gone back to Mexico '86 and picked a number of shirts, because I think you can almost do a podcast just to Mexico '86 shirts, if I'm honest, Stephen. If you look at sort of Denmark, I love the Mexico shirt as well. But I had to go to Italia '90 because that's probably where my heart still is and my head still is, even though it's 36 years ago. And the two shirts I've probably chosen, I don't think are probably going to be much of a surprise from this World Cup before we move on. So the first one is probably no surprise whatsoever. It's Yugoslavia, Italia '90. To me, these are really iconic shirts. They're really collectible shirts. Similar to the Soviet Union, they're both identical styles or identical designs. So you got the blue one and the white one, and they're literally transferable. The design is identical. And again, you've got a number of factors which obviously elevate the shirt. So again, you've got the Adidas, you've got 3 stripes on the shoulder, you've got the classic trefoil. But this one's the strange one when you've got the lightning sort of stripe, sort of lightning strip or bolt down the side of the shirt, and you've then got the white strip, and then you've got the red sort of like as a trim at the bottom, or on the other shirt you've got, I think it's a red bolt with a blue strip on the white one. And again, you've got the massive badge on it. It's not as big as a bit badge, but you've got a lovely sort of detailed badge there. You've got these really faint pinstripes running down the shirt as well, which I don't think you see necessarily from a distance, but when you look at it close up, you can see the little details on it. If you ask me which one I prefer, I'm probably leaning more towards the white again. And anyone who knows me will know that I normally wear blue. So to say white is quite rare. But again, I think that's probably down to the moments again in this shirt, mainly due to the Spain game and the Argentina game. And I know they lose the Argentina game, but the Spain game, the white shirt, Stojkovic, I know we've talked about Stojkovic before, Stephen. That's I think the reason. It comes down to players. When you've got a Stojkovic, a Panchev, Susic, Prozanecki, Savicevic, and Jozic volley against Colombia's in the white shirt as well, it just elevates the shirt, the moments. I know they're playing in Bologna and San Siro against Germany. That's in the blue one, but the Bologna stadium looks empty, where the San Siro is absolutely packed for the Germany game. And I know they lose 4-1, and they were in the blue shirt, as I said, but it doesn't matter. It's just an absolute thing of beauty. And as I said, the settings, the players, he just elevates that shirt. And then, of course, it then goes into what happens after. This is the last tournament. The Yugoslavia are a unified nation, and it's that last. And there is another shirt they obviously wear for Euro '92 qualification, but we're not talking about that. We're talking about World Cup. So there is another little bit element of story in it that just adds something to me.
Yeah, absolutely. I think with Yugoslavia, it's a strange one for me with Yugoslavia, and like I say, you're favouring the white one there, and I do with Italia '90. Yet across the board, it tends to be the blue one that I prefer. So if I go back to like the '82 World Cup, or I see the footage of the '74 World Cup, it's the blue one is the more evocative of the two in a way for me, but not Italia '90. That particular kit for me does look better in the white than it does in the blue. It's such a bizarre thing, but yeah, we never need an excuse to talk about these players. Savicevic and all of those. This kit And the fact that this is a World Cup as well, in which you've gone for another Adidas kit. That is that there are quite a lot. There's no phoning it in with kind of like the kits here. There are quite a lot of Adidas kits at this World Cup, but they come up in differing designs as well. We're not looking at a phalanx of teams wearing the same kit, but with a different badge on.
No, you're quite right. I think Czechoslovakia and the Soviet Union have got the same template, I think, for this one. And of course, they're Adidas kits. I'm trying to think. Cameroon, I think Adidas kit as well, but that's a pinstripe that's slightly different to the Yugoslavia one. But there's a degree of similarity in it. There's a V-neck as well. But again, that's another great kit that I could have chosen, the Cameroon kit, if I'm honest with you. But it's just again, it's a bit like the Soviet Union one. I can't explain why I prefer the white one to the main color. The Soviet Union should be red, Yugoslavia should be blue, and then I've gone for the white one. And so have you. So I'm glad you've gone for the same as me. And there's no explanation other than perhaps it's those two iconic games really against Spain and Argentina. One they win, one they lose. That perhaps just wins it. I still can't explain. You ask me next week, I'll probably say it's the blue one. So
no, I agree on that. Yeah, it's strange. I think it can be as simple as a moment. It could be a pass. It could be a piece of vision, a goal, anything. 1982 World Cup for me, it's kind of like the Soviet Union in the red against Brazil, and the fact that, and it's also kind of like how a kit can contrast against the team they're playing against as well. So when Brazil beat the Soviet Union in the 1982 World Cup, it looks absolutely right that the Soviet Union are in red on that day. Yet, that kind of lobbing offside of the 86 World Cup, Euro 88, it really has to be in the all white. And then you've got the Yugoslavia that comes along, and this is a beautiful kit. But yeah, very, very, it's those Italian 90 kits. It's the departure as well over design. It is a very different era that we're walking into. It's not, we've not quite got to the girishness of the mid 1990s yet, which might just come in a shirt or two. But this is a step away from tradition, very much so, isn't it?
100%. I think before, as I said, I had some great kits in '86, and I think the Denmark one, that's definitely a break from tradition, which I know then you then see with the Coventry and the Southampton and the Aston Villa, obviously in the first division. But this one is almost like someone's been let loose with a template and a design, and of course this is the early stages that they're probably using an Amiga or something, and before they then start using a PC in the mid '90s to design these kits, and it then goes mad. And as you said, there's a couple of those mad ones to come along, perhaps in a minute. And some of those are obviously, one of those is a classic template, and one of them is a unique template. But try not to give too much away. But I think Italia 90. I know you had this chat with Adam the other week. There's so much about that. Yes, the football's poor, but again, the stadiums look fantastic, and I think that elevates the shirts. You've got the graphics on the screen, with the substitutes. When a player goes on and they come off, then the names change on the bottom of the screen. You've got the flags. It just all adds something that you weren't seeing up to this point on the screen. We're used to sort of stadiums that are falling apart. When you're seeing these stadiums that look amazing, and then of course it comes out later on that these stadiums were poorly built and they're now falling apart themselves. But at the time, you didn't know that. They just looked fantastic, and I still think there's an element of romance when you see the Luigi Ferrari Stadium, for argument's sake. It doesn't matter if that one's falling down to me. I don't actually think that one is, because it's made of brick in the corner, isn't it? But some of the others, yeah, I love the Stadio San Nicola in Bari, and again, that's another stadium that's just concrete, not mess, but it's just a concrete, not even a heap, but it's just this concrete sort of monstrosity. But they just look fantastic, even though they look they're empty in this World Cup. There's so many empty seats in the Bari Stadium, but somehow it still looks brilliant. And the Bologna Stadium with that massive like brick clock thing. Just a World Cup that obviously I always go back to. I know the football's rubbish, but I think aesthetically it's definitely up there, and it was a turning point, not just over here in this country, but a turning point historically. There's so many countries that then seem to disappear and then morph into other countries in the 90s and into the 2000s. Which that leads us on to the third choice, which again we're still staying in Italia 90, and that's Colombia. Again, this is probably my favourite one actually of all the kits we're going to talk about, if I'm really honest with you. And it's actually really, really simple design. Again, very similar to the first two I've spoken about, where the traditional home shirt, or the yellow, and the red, which is the away, are completely transferable. They're identical, just a different colour. And again, this shirt, it's got the things I've already talked about earlier on. So you got the classic, it's Adidas. You got the trefoil. You got the 3 stripes in the shoulder. You've got a badge. This isn't an Eastern European badge, but this is a sort of decent, sort of the red sort of football emblem on it. It's just a beautiful, beautiful shirt. And again, I am going to say, and I don't know what you think, Stephen, but I think the red one is better than the yellow one. So much so that I went out and bought it. And I was wearing it this morning for this podcast, but it's so hot down here in the south that I had to take it off because I was so hot. So I've hung it up behind me instead.
It does, yeah. It looks resplendent on the wall. Honestly, it's absolutely fantastic. Yeah, no, I agree. The red one. I think did they wear it for every group game? Possibly, they possibly wore it for the entirety of the group, and maybe that's what it says a lot, is that by the time they throw the yellow one on for the last 16 and Higuita as his epic brain fart, then maybe they should have just kept on with the red kit, Michael.
That's exactly what I put in my notes. As I said that they beat UAE 2-0 on the red. They lose to Yugoslavia in the red 1-0. Draw with West Germany. Brilliant sort of late equaliser. Freddie Recon, fantastic pass from Valderrama.
Great goal.
Yeah, elevated more with, I think, Barry Davies's commentary when he sort of says unbelievable when they sort of equalised to qualify, and then they catastrophic mistake, they wear the yellow. And that's the one that's recently brought out as a remake as well. I saw that up in London the other week, and it's a really thick foamy material. I was going to buy it, and I was just, I think if I wore that, I'd be so hot in that, especially in this weather at the moment. But again, I think this kit and this team, I think, is elevated. Yes, I've already talked about the surroundings of Italia 90, but you've got Valderrama in the hair. You've got Rincon, as I said. You've got Alvarez. You've got Andres Escobar, bless him, and you've got Higuita. I know he doesn't wear the shirt, but it's the story, isn't it, of Higuita? I've never seen anyone like him before as a goalkeeper. I know, obviously, watching English football, Bruce Grobbelaar's eccentric, but there's eccentric and then there's Higuita at this point. And of course, when you look back retrospectively, he's almost like the first modern sweeper keeper. But he's nuts. He's absolutely nuts. But yeah, then the yellow one, obviously Cameroon, Roger Miller. That's an iconic story all in itself. That one. I can't remember what stadium that's in. I think that might be in Bari, actually. I could be wrong on that. But yeah, I absolutely love that kit. I play football on Tuesday. I haven't got the hair and I haven't got the looks, but for that moment in time, I'm Valderrama on the pitch when I wear that shirt.
Magnificent. No, those kits are great. Yeah, Valderrama, Higuita, just absolute lunacy. Having grown up on Bruce Grobbelaar, and he's the benchmark of erratic genius as far as a goalkeeper's being concerned. Yet there's Higuita with the everything like Grobbelaar times by 10. It's getting caught out trying to do a drag back 40-45 yards out of his own goal to basically send his nation out of the World Cup is absolutely, never mind scorpion kicks at Wembley and stuff like that. This is prime Higuita. But yeah, Valderrama, it's such an enigma, Valderrama, as well. So much. He's kind of like almost a suboptimal Hadji in some respects. Hadji can point to European Cup finals being played and this Romania side that probably should have reached the semi-final of the 1994 World Cup. Time spent with Real Madrid and Barcelona. UEFA Cup one with Galatasaray. Valderrama never quite. He has all the ingredients of being one of the all-time greats. Yet it's kind of like he just doesn't accept the invitation.
Yeah, it's almost like, I'm not saying he can't be bothered, but he goes to Montpellier, plays in a really good side, Montpellier side actually, but I think that team is forgotten about, and I think his time in France is forgotten about, unless you're a Man United fan, because you also played him in the Cup Winners' Cup. And I think he plays for, he's in Spain, isn't he, for not one of the big ones. And again, I don't think he plays in Italy, but he's like the first star of the MLS. I think when the American Football League starts, he's the first star, and I don't know if he's still got the record for the most assists or something. But he is the first sort of superstar, and of course he wears some fantastic kits in the MLS as well, with some of those outlandish kits from the 90s. But yeah, he's one of my favourite players. He probably sits in top three alongside Baggio and Stojkovic for me. So again, how much a player or a World Cup can make a shirt, and Valderrama does that with me in Colombia. So yeah, that's that one.
It is. It's incredible. It was real Valladolid that he had a short time with in Spain, and it was Naples. I've had a quick look there. It was Naples that game against Cameroon took place at Italia 90.
I was in the right part of the country. I was in the south part.
You were absolutely in the right part. Yeah, I see similarities between those. It's that unremitting kind of austerity bowl type stadium that has a beautiful brutality to it. Michael, give us your next one.
We had to go USA 94. I think this is the World Cup that I was really looking forward to, but England didn't make it. And of course, they were at the different times of the night, weren't they? And of course, I was 12 at the time. But this is a World Cup, I think, that I just appreciate more and more that every year goes by. I think some of the players in that World Cup and some of the performances are absolutely stunning. And of course, one of the, I think, teams and one of the players who's stunning is Romania. I think that is it's a great story in many ways of, they should have done better, like you said just a minute ago. Got a great collection of players. The players have moved away from Bucharest because many will play for sort of Dinamo and Steaua in 1990, and obviously they have now gone elsewhere because they can obviously now. Obviously, Ceausescu went 5 years before, but of course this is a kit that similar to Colombia. You've got the yellow and the red, but this one is definitely yellow. I think the red one's only worn in the last game against Sweden. So again, don't change your strip. I think that's the rule. That's the lesson learned, isn't it? A bit like Colombia. Don't change your strip.
Definitely.
And I think that yellow kit, that template, that was a shirt that I think Bulgaria wore, Sweden wore.
Yeah.
I think even Norway wore it as well, but didn't have the colour so much that Sweden obviously and Romania had. And I think Liverpool had this shirt as well, didn't they?
Yes, they did. Yeah, quite a few. I think Bayer Leverkusen maybe. I do remember it being quite a lot of teams around that 94, 95-ish. Weren't.
And this is going into the Adidas equipment era, which I'm not personally a fan of. I'm very much, it has to be a Ford as far as I'm concerned. So I'm going a bit against the grain here with picking an Adidas equipment one. And of course, a lot of the other teams they had around this time, remember they had those 3 stripes on the shoulder. Liverpool had the candy shirt, and I think Marseille had it as well. And
Bayern Munich did as well. But Bayern Munich had it with but not with like white stripes. I think their stripes were blue on the red, which was a bit different.
I think Rangers had a very similar one as well with 3 stripes over the shoulder. But this one's the one where you got the 3 stripes sort of on the stomach going down into the waist. So that design. But of course, this one really, really to me comes to the fore with that 3-1 victory against Colombia. Because I think I was thinking Colombia, like a lot of people were thinking Colombia were going to do really well at this World Cup. It doesn't happen for a number of reasons off the field. And I know you've obviously talked this before with Pete, but that game with Radicchio, that Hadji goal, the one that's far out on the left, and he just almost just I wouldn't say it flops in because it doesn't, but you know the one I mean. It's like 30 yards. Is it a cross? It's not a cross. The way the ball doesn't move, there's no whip on it. It is just like an arrow from the far left-hand side straight over, put over into the goal. Fantastic goal. But it's really the game against Argentina, I think, that most people probably remember this kit and this team for the most, just because that game was an absolutely epic game. Dimitrescu obviously has the game of his life as far as I'm concerned. It was that fantastic free kick. I think people are thinking, why has Hadji not taken this? And then, of course, he whips it straight over goal. I can't remember what the Argentinian goal is called, actually, because I don't think it was Goycochea in this game. And obviously he gets that lovely second goal. Well, I thought that it was like a 1-2-1-2 for about 5 or 6 touches. And it's not. It literally almost is just a 1-2 where sort of as he just flicks it through the eye of a needle into Dimitrescu and he just pushes it past the goalie. It's not even a goal with a shot with any power. It's just literally pushed past the goalie. To me, that's my favourite goal of USA 94. And then, of course, Hadji then wraps it up with that fantastic goal at the end where I think it's Dimitrescu actually. I could be wrong, but I think it's Dimitrescu almost holds the ball and waits and waits and waits. A bit like Pelly for Carlos Alberto, but not quite the same. Not quite the same. And then just flicks it to Hagi, then just lashes it past the goalie. I love that Romania team. I've written about that Romania team. I think, again, that team should have beaten Sweden. It's got superb set of players, revolving around Hagi, Dimitrescu, Radicoi, Popescu, Beledegi. Again, I think one of the most underrated players, I think, in football, Beledegi. And yeah, it's a great story, a great team. And as much as that kit is quite I'm not going to say a boring template, but a well used and is quite a common shirt, one like some of the other shirts that are quite unique we're going to talk about or have talking about. This is my favourite shirt of that style and design.
Yeah. Luis Ailas was the Argentine goal. He's totally fallen off my radar. I do jump from kind of like Goicoechea to like Carlos Roa, I think it is.
100%.
I miss what's in between there. But that goal is and you're right, this particular kit, yes, the design of it travels quite a distance in terms of the teams that use it. But yeah, this is the best variation of it, without a shadow of a doubt. This, the alternative, away version that they use for that quarter final, it never looks right. It looks jarring in so many respects. It's almost a little bit like a colourblind test for me as well. It's too busy, for the Dutans, of which I am one. But yeah, love this Romania kit, and they do, again, like you say, they play some wonderful football. Next up, I think you're sticking with USA 94.
Yeah, I'm still in USA 94. Late entry. This one, I think people remember this shirt instantly as soon as I say it. So Nigeria 94, the green, grey, sort of white check shirt, very sort of almost, it looks like a sort of traditional African type of style shirt, green shorts. I think you first see this kit in the opening game against Bulgaria. And of course, that's the one the Iachini scores that goal. It's a fantastic crossing from the right, puts it in. To be fair, it'd be harder to miss actually because he's right on the line. But he's the one when he grabs the net and he's shouting his name and screaming and screaming. It's the first goal in Nigeria in the World Cup ever. And I think it's an iconic moment there instantly. And that kit is then cemented as an iconic kit instantly because of that moment and that celebration. But of course, this team could play. They had some fantastic players in this. I don't think this is almost, this is like one of the World Cups where you still didn't know these players and these teams when they rocked up. I know you could say that a bit about the current World Cup with some of the really sort of lesser teams, but this is a team that's sort of won the AFCON, a few months before. There's been runners up and finished third in recent years as well. And we probably still don't actually know who these players are. So, when you talk about Okocha, Ramakachi, Iachini, Amaniki, Sunday Elise, Finindi George, Uche at the back. It's a fantastic set of players. I still think I actually think the Olympic 96 team is probably better, but I think this is probably this era is the best African side, in my opinion. The collection of players, the style of football, it doesn't go right for them in a game where, fun enough, they change kit again. They wear green in that game. So goes back to what we've been saying all along, Stephen. Don't change your kit. Stick with these kits. Don't change. But a fantastic team. Lose to Argentina. That's in the green shirt as well. They lose to Argentina 2-1. That's Maradona's last match. That's the one he gets taken off for the drug test. 2 fantastic Caniggia goals in that. And obviously they beat Greece in this shirt. That's the one Marakachi scores that amazing goal. He sort of runs and lashes it from sort of 25, 30 yards outside the box. I think Everton buy him there and then, and it doesn't work out brilliantly.
It doesn't quite work out, yeah.
Unless you're a Tottenham fan, and then you won't want to talk about that in the 95 FA Cup semi-final. But of course, their reward for winning the group is a match against Italy, which isn't really a reward, is it? I know at this point and are not firing on all cylinders by any means, but they've got a fantastic squad, fantastic team, and that game I think is a game that if you haven't watched it or haven't seen it or don't know about it, you've got to go and watch it because Nigeria 1-0 up. Zola gets sent off in the 75th minute. He's only been on for 9 minutes, 11 minutes or something. And then, of course, Iachini's through on goal. Maldini brings him down and should have gone. I think Costa Curtis, you could argue perhaps he's covering, which I think is why the ref doesn't send him off. But if Nigeria score that goal and make it 2-0, Italy are out. And then, of course, Baggio wakes from his slumber in the last minute, 88th minute, and scores that lovely sort of sweeping pass ball into the corner. And Nigeria, psychologically, they're finished. I think they think they're through. I think everyone thinks they're through, and they go out. But it's that, and then again, that's in the green kit. But that check kit, the green, grey, white, is just an absolute thing of beauty. It's a unique kit. It's unique to Nigeria. It was manufactured by. I wasn't aware it was manufactured by Adidas until I actually looked at it yesterday.
Yeah.
Because there's no logo on it. It's just literally just in a black strip that says Adidas in white lettering. It doesn't have any trefoil, any Adidas equipment, 3 sort of diagonal stripes. So yeah, another Adidas shirt to add to the list. So what's that? 5 in a row. So
it is indeed. There is a pattern emerging, which I find fascinating, because that's one of the things that have spoke through with Adam and Dave Bowler as well when we've done it. I've ticked off the kits, and Dave didn't even know some of the kits had done them before I did the reveal. But yeah, it's fascinating to see the composition of the kit manufacturer out, the selections that come in. But yeah, I didn't realise this was an Adidas kit, and I think it's even cooler now that it does say Adidas on it. They don't go for the Adidas equipment logo, as you say. Trefoils are being outlawed at this point in time criminally, it just makes it an even better kit that they've not gone for the Adidas equipment side.
Yeah, 100%. So this one got elevated even more yesterday when I did some research. So yeah, kudos to Adidas Nigeria, definitely.
Yeah, totally into this one. Michael, your penultimate kit?
Well, I went to France '98, and I moved away from Adidas. This is a Reebok shirt. I don't think about Reebok shirts much as a manufacturer. I always think of Bolton, if I'm honest with you. I think Bolton with the big Reebok on as the logo. I think that's a bit of a giveaway, isn't it? But I think Liverpool had Reebok shirt in the '90s. Aston Villa had one. I think Argentina, but we're not talking about Argentina for this one. I think Sao Paulo and Fiorentina. So there was more Reebok kits, I think, and I think Russia had it as well. I think just before the '94 World Cup. But the one I've gone for, I think, is the best Reebok kit there is, and that's Chile '98. And again, it's a thing of absolute beauty, this shirt. It's red shirt, blue trim, Reebok logo, is quite large and striking by the actual collar, but it actually adds to the shirt. I think sometimes, the logo, you get as I said, something small perhaps to identify, but this is massive, but subtle at the same time. I don't know if that makes any sense, Stephen, but it is an absolute thing of beauty. And I think I first saw this kit in February '98 against England at Wembley, and that's the game where Salas turned up. It was Owen's debut, I think, and Salas turned up and said, "Right, I'm writing the headlines." Scores that fantastic goal where he sort of long ball, takes it on his thigh almost, and then volleys it in a sweeping moment or movement. Absolutely fantastic goal. And of course, at the World Cup, you've got Salas and Zamorano up front. What a strike force that is.
Unreal.
They don't go as... Yeah, exactly. That's, if you're talking retro football, geekdom or not, suppose exciting or whatever, those two players together is all right at the top of your list. If you're looking at strike forces, there's a bit of exoticness into that, as far as I'm concerned. There's a bit of sort of mystique and magical. I know Zamorano is more of a ball, isn't he? He's not necessarily a massive strike force. And of course, you've got sort of Clarence Acuna and sort of Jose Luis Sierra, and then West Ham fans, sort of Javier Margus, the defender that sort of went into exile and disappeared and sort of retired and didn't tell anyone, and disappearing out of hotel windows or something. The story goes, but they're unlucky against Italy in the opening game. Winning 2-1. Of course, Baggio gets the late penalties, he scores, and I think everything that happened in '94, for him to have the guts to step up and take that penalty and to score it was a fantastic story for Baggio. Salas got 2 goals in that game, and they draw with Austria 1-1, Cameroon 1-1, but still managed to finish second in the group with 3 draws. And their reward is to play Brazil in Paris. And of course, Ronaldo hitting top form, scores 2 goals, and I think Sampaio gets 2 of the goals as well. Sampaio, and lose 4-1. But that kit to me is absolutely magical. I love that kit. And I think it's probably as soon as I said that kit, I'm hoping people think, oh, yeah, that's a great kit. Because that was a stunning kit for me.
It was really distinctive. Really, really distinctive. Yeah, that kind of... It's a really dramatic slash across the top of that shirt. It gives you kind of like it is half of a Reebok logo in itself. It's very, very evocative one. And Reebok... the kit manufacturer. But yeah, I mean that's it with that Chile side. You did feel that they were walking into an ambush in that Brazil game. Such a shame that was who they were paired with. It was the type of game you would have wanted that to have been at least a quarter final.
100%. I agree, and that Brazil team is just beginning to really hit top form. And to be fair, Chile aren't really firing on all cylinders, but when you've got Salas and Zamorano up front, you've got a chance. But yeah, I agree that another stage further would have done that shirt justice. I think is probably fair to say. I'm sure Russia had this same template about 6 years before, just before USA '94, but didn't wear it at USA '94. But yeah, Chile wins this one hands down. And I still don't think of, as I said, Reebok as a manufacturer. Still, that just goes over my head. It's always, you think of Nike, Adidas, Puma more so recently, and Umbro, of course, which I haven't mentioned England shirts, to be fair, but there's a reason for that. Maybe we'll come back to it at the end, Stephen. But yeah, that shirt deserved more, I think, if I can finish.
Yeah, no, we will definitely touch on the on your relationship with England kits before we venture into what we're legally recording off the top 40. One more kit on your official list of 7, Michael. Take us. Yeah, are we heading towards 2002, 2006, or is it further along?
No, we're going further along. We're going to 2010. So this is really out of my comfort zone. This is talking about the World Cup to this period. But to me, this if you can have a shirt that is remembered for a moment or controversy, I think this is the one that ticks the box as far as I'm concerned. Yes, you can talk about England and Maradona and Argentina '86, but to me, Ghana 2010, the red and yellow striped shirt, where it's a really sort of, it's not bright red, it's more of a sort of burgundy, sort of deep, looks like a glass of red wine almost. As the actual, yes, as the red with a sort of 3 yellow stripes, I think, down it. You've got a red sort of diagonal pattern, a bit of material where the number is on the shoulder. But of course, this shirt was worn in the infamous game against Uruguay in the quarter final. They wear the white shirt all through the group. They rock up in this shirt against the USA, and I had no recollection of that game, and I've still got no recollection of that game. But I think as soon as you say Uruguay Ghana 2010, everyone can probably know exactly what I'm talking about instantly with the Suarez handball on the line. And I think that's unfair on perhaps Montari, because he scores a sensational goal from 40 yards.
He does.
To Ghana go 1-0 up. And then that's unfair on Forlan, because he scores a fantastic free kick that goes over Kingston's head. And Kingston's almost over his line, and it sort of goes over his head from the left-hand side. Fantastic free kick. But those goals are lost in the moment with what happens with Suarez. I think it's Asamoah Gyan. I think it has the shot. It was blocked. It loops up. It takes a header. And there's actually 2 of them that actually attempt to handball it, to be fair. It's not just Suarez that goes to do it. The other guy, and I can't remember who he is, but Suarez is the one, the pantomime villain, perhaps, as it would be. It's the stage. The stage is set for him, isn't it, to be him? And he sort of handballs it, rightly gets sent off. This is in the 120th minute, remember. This isn't, it's game over if that goes in. They get the penalty. Gyan misses the penalty. He hits the crossbar and goes over. And you see Suarez celebrating the miss in the tunnel, and he's going mad, and he's almost like, I've got away with it. And of course, he sort of says it's the second hand of God, is what he sort of says when he's interviewed, which, of course, elevates it as a crime even more, perhaps. But again, this is Uruguay, and this is probably what they do. If you're going back to Mexico '86 and sort of dirty tricks and winning by any method you can win by, you'll take. And I think it's part of their DNA, and there are other countries in South America that have the similar DNA as well. But yeah, it's that kit. It's manufactured by Puma. So we've got another manufacturer. We managed to get another one in, Stephen. So,
we have. Not too far spiritually from. It's the 2 brothers, so we're keeping it in the family, but the Dazzlers, Puma, Addy to Rudolph.
Yeah, it's just, I said, it's one of the most controversial, unsporting moments in World Cup history. Full stop. But again, that Ghana squad was a fantastic team. You got Asamoah Gyan, you got Montari, you got Kevin Prince Boateng, you got John Mensah, I think he played for Sunderland. You got John Painsil played for Fulham. Andre Ayew, obviously Avivi Pele's son. I think
Yep.
Jordan Ayew doesn't actually play until just after this World Cup. I think he makes his debut just after. And you got sort of Stephen Appler as well. So he's playing obviously in Serie A at the time. So you got a fantastic side, and I think deserved to go through to the semi-finals. Yeah, that would have been the first African team to get to the semi-final, because they'd have done that obviously way before Morocco did it. Yeah, it's that shirt. I love that shirt, but I think the moment and the drama and the controversy just elevates it for me to be an iconic shirt that I would love to actually own that shirt. Not just, I suppose, not because of that moment, but I suppose just because of what that team is, what it represents. Yeah, it's just a great shirt.
Yeah, they definitely. I mean, to have been Africa's first semi-finalist on African soil as well.
Yeah, 100%.
What was within reaching distance was remarkable. I'll tell you what this kit reminds me of a little bit. It does look like it should be a Melchester Rovers kit from around about that era. It's got those colours to it, and with the yellow and the red. But yeah, it's very evocative, and it's so distinct as well. Just so unlike. I mean, we spoke to Dave Bowler, and he threw in Croatia 1998. So obviously that, because we're so used to international shirts traditionally being block colour. There's very little. So hence, I love that Peru kit with the sash across it and stuff like that. And yeah, and this is very much within the spirit of the great Peru kits, although different design. Croatia, I think there's its own little kind of subsection almost that a kit like Ghana's 2010, red and yellow one is.
Yeah, it was definitely a shirt that again, this was my last choice that I sort of managed to sort of get in last night, and I sort of thought, no, gotta get that one in, because I couldn't remember what World Cup it was in. I'll be honest. I mean, I think after 2006, everything's blurred and everything gets all molded into one. So I had to look at it, and of course I was like, yeah, it's 2010, and as you said, it was in South Africa. It was the whole of Africa were rooting for this team. Most neutrals probably around the world were probably rooting for this team. And then for it to come down to that moment, and then obviously what happens in the penalty shootout after the missed penalty, just elevates the story and the moment. So yeah, I thought I had to get that in. But yeah, I think of all the 7 shirts that I've chosen, they're not ones you see down the street. Because I know obviously Adam Samuelson the other day was saying about a lot of the shirts that he chose, you see people wearing them down the street, and they're a thing of culture. I don't think the shirts I've chosen are actually fall into these categories. They're a bit more unique, and you don't really see people wearing them, especially over here. But I think they're all beautiful and have a great story.
Yeah, definitely. All and that's the striking thing, is that it's not always the best kit in fashionable terms. So although sometimes it is, it's what it means. It's that impact that a moment in football and time is kind of like, that's made that impression on you. A fantastic set of kits, Michael. Give us that little. You gave us a little bit of a dangling carrot of your relationship with the England kits there, Michael. Tell us about the lack of an England kit in this 7, and maybe why.
I think it's mainly because a lot of the England shirts, yes, they've got some fantastic moments, and I'm not going to just dispute that. You think of the Euro '96 one, for argument's sake. You've got the Gascoigne goal, you've got the Pearce penalty, sort of Shearer scoring against Holland or the Netherlands, I should say. But I don't actually like that kit. I don't like the badge in the middle, and I don't like the sponsor in the middle. As far as I'm concerned, you should have the sponsor and the badge on the left and the right. I don't like them down the middle. And then, France 98 has that. Italia 90, I think, to be fair, I know obviously Adam sort of chose this, so I know we obviously discussed his shirt. I do love the white shirt, but I think the blue shirt's the best one, and that's not worn. I think the red one is the second best one. That's not worn at the World Cup. And I think then the white one has been talked about so much. And I know I'm doing this podcast in an Italian 90 mashup England shirt, so I'm a complete contradiction to what I'm saying. So it's like I couldn't choose which one to have, so I just chose all 3 molded into one. But no, I just find the England shirts, they're just a little bit boring and a little bit plain. And I know you sort of get the 2002, you've got the red stripe down the side. I thought in 2006, you've got the sort of like a cross on the top sort of corner, which I did actually own that shirt, and I've still got it upstairs. And my son wears it occasionally because it's too small for me now. Yeah, it's just I love the England shirts and I love the moments, but they're just not elevated to that other level that the shirts I've spoken about come into in my mind. And maybe that's just because I love a bit like yourself. I love all football, not just what your club centric or your country centric. It's I can appreciate football all around the world and the stories and the players, and those other shirts just have that little bit more of an edge than the England shirts. Maybe
Yeah.
that's wrong. And maybe I'm wrong to say that, but that's just my personal opinion.
No, I totally agree with that. I find the England shirts utterly conservative and just a bit boring. I mean, I've said it before. The '86 shirt, that England's '86 kit, is like the worst one in the tournament. It's just so bland. It's unreal. I do like the Italia '90 ones. I did have. I'd been 16 at Italia '90. I had the white and the red ones. Didn't have the blue one, but I remember buying the red and the white ones. And it's like the world in motion effect and all that type of stuff. And yeah, a period of time when John Barnes and Peter Beardsley, Steve McMahon are strutting around the England picture as well. It was kind of like I felt a little bit more invested at that point in time. But yeah. But you can say those 1990 kits do look a whole lot better, far better than they did in '86. And I love the kitsch nature of the Admiral 82 kits and all that type. But I'd never put them in a list. I'd never put any of those in. If I was on the other side of this podcast, I don't think an England kit would be anywhere near any of my choices. But yeah, the kind of like just I don't know, kind of like stiff upper lip kind of kits. Sure, yeah.
Yeah. I said, from a cultural point of view, I get Italian 90 shirt is important. You mentioned the music and you're spot on with that. And obviously, you could add Nessun Dorma to that as well. And you think Euro 96, I know we're not talking about Euros, but you've got three lions and that elevates that shirt perhaps. But I think my England, if you ask me what my favourite England shirt is, it's probably the 93 shirt, which probably would have been worn to the World Cup in 94 if they actually went. And again, that's an Umbro shirt. That's got the badge, the badges on as far as I'm saying, the right places. I always think of Stuart Pearce scoring against Poland in that shirt, as well as David Platt getting pulled down by Ronald Koeman. But I think that's probably my favourite in Rotterdam. I think that's probably my favourite shirt. And if England went to the World Cup in '94 and wore that, then perhaps I would have chosen that one, but not to be because it didn't happen.
Indeed, it did not happen. The only concession I'll give to a badge in the middle of the shirt is that it's all right for Poland to do that in kind of like the 70s and early 80s. It's all right for Czechoslovakia to do that in winning. I think they have, Euro is 76. I think they've got their badge in the middle. It's all right for the Eastern Europeans to do it, in a red shirt as well. That's fine. But there's a time and a place, a geographical place for that to happen and at a certain time in history. But yeah, beyond that, badges generally shouldn't be in the middle of a shirt. Michael, fantastic set of kits you've picked. And finally, our top 40. I sent you a link to the top 40 of the 3rd of July 1994, the day that Romania went up against Argentina in the last 16 of the 1994 World Cup. What are you illegally recording from the charts on this particular day?
Well, it's the slim pickings. I'll be honest with you, Stephen. There were slim pickings in this one. Rob Fletcher and I went through a very similar list from May not that long ago. So there's still a few of the tunes knocking around from then, and some new ones that have popped in. And this is actually a better list than the one that we discussed, believe it or not. So it's more of a one I could tell you probably what I wouldn't be recording more than what I would.
Yeah.
So like number one, you got Lovers All Around Wet Wet Wet. No, I swear. All for one. And number two, that would be a no. Probably Swamp Thing, The Grid, number 4. I think I'll be legally recording that one. I quite like that song. Baby, I Love Your Way, Big Mountain. I think that's from Cool Runnings, I think it was. Probably be recording that one actually at the time. Maybe not so much now, but probably would have been at the time. Shine Aswad, number 9. Probably would have recorded that. Don't Turn Around, Ace of Base. I would have recorded that, mainly because I think I fancied the blonde one in Ace of Base.
All right.
So yeah, that's... I'm 12 years old at this point. So this is what you do as a 12-year-old.
Yep.
No Good Start, the Dance Prodigy, number 13. Definitely recording that. Shake and Maker 18, Oasis, yeah. Getaway Max 21, definitely recording that. I love that tune to this day. That was on the last list I'd checked with Rob, and I told him he's got to go away and listen to that one. So yeah, I don't know if you know that one, Stephen, but definitely listen to that. And then you then just got just songs that are just unforgettable. You know, I think, and no more so than number 32, "Come On Your Reds, Manchester United." I think that song is awful. I think it's based on a Status Quo song, and yeah, I think it was number one. I think it's actually the biggest club selling football song or something off selling football song mine by a club. But yeah, I would not be buying that because I'm not a Man United fan. But I do remember it being everywhere, and of course, a lot of the kids at school were Man United fans at the time. I wonder why. And of course, they they were listening to that and buying that on tape. I remember 7 Seconds, Nessendor and Nina Cherry. Remember that? I saw on number 58 America World Cup theme. I went to find it on Spotify just to listen to it. Couldn't find it at all. So I think that's as forgettable of it as it is. And I think, you know, I think what made me smile when I got this list, I think that's pretty much it. Oh, Sweets for My Sweet, CJ Lewis. I'll record that as well, which is about number 71. So I think that's it's going down. This chart is heavily linked to Now 28 and Now 29. And I had both of these on double cassettes. If you remember double cassettes. Yeah. I didn't have CD player at this point, so I had the double cassettes, and one was yellow and red, and one was sky blue and gold. I did check that out yesterday, and I do remember those. And as this was 94, I was expecting Wigfield and Passabanton and Lisa Loeb and people like that. And obviously they came out a bit later, which is good because I wouldn't have recorded those either, to be honest with you. I was hoping for Corona and Real McCoy because I would have recorded them, but yeah, a bit of an unforgettable list if I'm honest with you. But I think the one that did make me smile and cringe at the same time was Meet the Flintstones at number 5, B-52s. Shocking tune. I don't like the B-52s. I hate Love Shack. That is one of the things that it's one of those songs that everyone seems to love Love Shack, and I always go turn it over, turn it off. Can't stand that song. So yeah, Meet the Flintstones. Shocking. So yeah, not the best list, I'm afraid.
It's not. Yeah, like you say, it's kind of unforgettably forgettable. I think we'd have to call that one. Yeah, for me, I think there's only number 19, "Sabotage" by the Beastie Boys, and I love that more for the basis of the video. If you've never seen the video for "Sabotage," it's just a brilliant homage to 1970s American cop movies and TV series and stuff like that. It's kind of like big, huge kind of like every setup that they're doing. You've got a chase scene where kind of like the protagonist is caught by the swimming pool and they tumble into the pool. They've got people bouncing across the kind of like the bonnet of the cars and all that type of stuff. And yeah, it's very much kind of like Starsky and Hutch come Streets of San Francisco type of vibe. And you can just see that they're having an absolute ball doing it. And I think the song alone would be, something I wouldn't be all that into. But yeah, because as soon as you hear it, you can't help but see. Once you've seen that video, you cannot unsee it. And once you hear that song anywhere, all it'll do will pop into your head is that video, and it's a majestic thing. Further down the charts, outside the top 40, the Charlatans are in there somewhere. Yeah, Jesus Heard at number 60. Obviously, they're not going to play number 60, so I can't illegally record that from the charts. I would have had to. Well, I mean, it reaches a peak of 48. That particular song, To an End, the Blur by Blur. That did reach peak of 16 a few weeks earlier. But yeah, very slim pickings. Very slim pickings. Michael, it's been a joy to do. A fantastic set of kit, a woeful set of songs. But we've been able to talk about Sabotage as well, which is always a win. Michael, we'll do this again with regular kits in the regular season. I think we'll come back with a European theme or a domestic. We'll do domestic and European or something like that. Thank you so much for your time. It's been a joy.
It's been great, and I love the idea of a domestic and European kit pod. More European, if I'm honest with you. I can already think of 3 or 4 instantly without even having to think. So yeah, definitely up for that one. So yeah, really enjoyed this. It's been great fun.
It's been a joy to do, an absolute joy to do. All that leaves me to do is say thank you for listening. Spread the word. Do subscribe to us on Substack. You can do that for free. You will get our podcasts sent into your email box rather than having to kind of like find us. A bit like Paperboy, the computer game. we're cycling past on our BMX and throwing the papers at your door. That's the version of signing on Substack. And you do get them a little bit quicker than you do. They pop up a bit later on in the day on Apple and all the rest of them. Thank you so much for listening. This has been Your Boys Took a Hell of a Beating. The fashion department. We'll come up with a better name for the fashion department, but it's we are the Goon Squad and we're going to town, beep beep. Thank you for listening and goodbye.